Neil McCabe is with us, conservative commentator, editor of the Guns and Patriots newsletter. And Neil, welcome back.
Great to be with you, Tom.
Militarization versus community policing. This seems to be one of the areas where increasingly, certainly Rand Paul, the libertarian wing of the Republican Party, conservatives are agreeing with liberals that weapons of war, that armies are designed to blow things up and kill people, to fight wars. Police departments are designed to protect lives and protect property, the exact opposite. And so they need different tools. And why is it that we've got $34 billion worth of weapons of war that have been handed by the Department of Defense to local police departments and $4.3 billion worth of weapons of war that have been given directly from the contractors themselves to police departments through this 1033 grant program? This is nuts. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Tom, there definitely is a difference in personality and culture between being a soldier and being a police officer. It's the difference between walking a patrol on a street in Baghdad and walking the beat in a downtown. And it's unfortunately what's happening is not only is there tons and tons war equipment being sent to these police departments, and I believe it's an effort by the administration to sort of dismantle what they think is an overgrown Pentagon Defense Department, but we can talk about that later. I believe it's deliberately, they just want to get this stuff off the inventory.
But this is all new stuff, Neil. This is not like after World War II when you could buy a Jeep through an ad in the back of a comic book for $5.
Well,
this is brand new stuff.
Actually, that's true, Tom, because the police departments actually through this program have full access to the federal supply system.
Right.
But you also have.
I think this is the legislators. There was a MapLight, though. One of these Sunlight Foundations. They looked into the voting records of the 65 members of the House of Representatives who voted against 1033 versus the hundreds who voted in favor of it. And the ones who voted in favor of it, on average, took 77% more money from the defense industry than the ones who voted against it.
Well, I think that there's certainly a lot of people who want, who are the contractors, the daddy warbucks, who are making a mint off these wars.
And they've got a bunch of politicians in their back pocket.
Oh, and that could very well be true, Tom, but I think the second part of this problem is that you have a number of veterans of these wars in Afghanistan and Iraq who are joining these police forces, and, they're unable to make that shift of culture from being a soldier, which is a time-honored profession, and being a police officer, which is also a time-honored profession, but a completely different personality and culture, and it's just a much different touch. It's not a softer touch, but it's a different touch, and that's the problem you have in Ferguson. But
that's why you have training.
Well,
that's why you have police academies, Neil.
But it's a failure. There's been a failure to help these guys make that shift. I honestly believe. I mean, I saw a government printing office police squad car chase down some dude a mile from the Capitol, and the guy was driving on the sidewalk with the sirens blaring and the lights going, and the guy was obviously a veteran, and it's like I actually asked him, I said, what do you do? I said, what are you doing on the sidewalk? And he's like, get out of the way. It was more direct language than that, Tom, but you see these guys all over the place.
How do you know the guy was a veteran?
All right, I assumed he was a veteran.
Yeah.
But just because I was a veteran and I saw stuff, I saw something in him, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. But what I'm saying, Tom, is that it's a failure. And then what we have in Ferguson, unfortunately, is now things have so spun out of control that you actually do need a military response.
No, you don't.
Because what are you going to do, Tom? Just let the place burn?
No, and in fact, the community was preventing the place from burning. I would say that what we saw in Ferguson was the same thing we saw in 1968 in Chicago. It's a police riot. If the police show up with an overwhelming show of force, nobody likes to be occupied. I mean, this is what we learned from Afghanistan and Iraq most recently.
Certainly. I mean, I interviewed a brigade commander in Iraq what I was asking him about is what he was doing about the Iranians would get groups of boys to throw rocks at our soldiers, hoping to provoke them into shooting the crowd.
Right.
And guys weren't shooting back because they were more disciplined than that. But our guys didn't like having rocks thrown at them. This particular brigade commander, he ordered all of his trucks to have bags of candy, and he would have the gunners at the top of the MV in the truck. And then, so whenever the kids were throwing rocks, the soldiers would throw candy back at the boys, who would then ignore their Iranian minders and just start picking up the candy. And the
right. So if in Ferguson the response of the local government was to say, okay, we are going to double the money that we're allocating for the school system. We're going to start. Senator Sanders has just proposed a jobs program for unemployed youth. You've got unemployment is twice as high in Ferguson as it is in most of the rest of Missouri. We're going to do a jobs program. And by the way, we're going to the head of the police department and the prosecutor's office. We're going to set them aside and we're going to federalize this thing. Very straightforward stuff. There's a lot of ways to prevent people from burning down a city, short of showing up with weapons of war.
I think that in the beginning, in days 1 and 2, these guys came in strong and heavy, and it provoked people who weren't even prepared to be provoked.
I agree.
But I think at this point,
this is the Ferguson Police Department. They've screwed this thing up so badly, and on top of that, they're blaming the victim.
But the other thing is, the other victims of this is not just Michael Brown Jr., but also, how about the guy who owns that sub shop that he's been working for 20 years? How about the guy who owns the dry cleaner? How about the guy who's afraid for his family? I mean, the people who live in Ferguson must be in sheer terror about what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, people living in these neighborhoods, I mean, they're afraid every night that the stray bullet is going to go through. We need to demilitarize it. We need to diffuse it. The idea that we're passing all this military equipment out to these police departments, and then we're saying, now please don't act like you're the Army.
Well, I think we had a warning of this, Tom. I know you and all Americans cheered when the Boston Red Sox won that first World Series in 2004. But in part of that celebration, there was a Northeastern University cop or a Boston City cop who was given an Army riot beanbag gun, and he shot a journalism student in the eye because she was standing on a street lamp, and she wouldn't get down from the street lamp, so he shot a bag at her, hit her in the eye, and killed her instantly. But this was all military equipment that the government had given the Boston police force to prepare them for possible riots because of the Democratic Convention. And so it's like, even in 2000, this is a 10-year-old problem. A lot of these cops are given equipment that they don't even know how to use, or they don't have the appropriate training. And again, I think culture is, soldiers and cops are different animals.
Yeah, they have different job descriptions. They have different missions, and they shouldn't have the same tools. Neil McCabe, the Guns and Patriots newsletter. What's the website, Neil?
Sure.
What is the website?
gunsandpatriots.com.
Thank you very much. Neil McCabe, always good talking with you, Neil. Thanks for dropping by. We'll be back.